Tomorrow, partly cloudy in the morning and then a possibility of thunderstorms and a high of 82. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Signworks, a business serving businesses since 1985. Everything from signs and banners, vehicles and boats, magnetic and real estate signs, contractor signs, and much more. Signworks can do large format, full color printing too. Signworks, a real professional in the business world. Call Signworks at 785-8899. Signworks, 850-785-8899. Turf Pro Lawn and Pest Control. They take pride in caring for their customers' property by providing lawn and whole house pest control. Whether you have roaches or any other unwanted bugs in your home, Turf Pro has you covered. Or if your lawn needs weed control, fertilize, insect control, Turf Pro has you covered by providing custom treatments to meet your property's needs. No property is the same, so why should it be treated that way? Turf Pro, where the blue and yellow trucks make your lawn green. Call 850-890-5820.
Ben and Deb Collins, owners of Bay Guns and Gear, have been in business since 2010, offering new firearms and accessories with a huge selection available for your hunting needs and personal defense. Turn to Bay Guns and Gear. They have the weapon for you. Discount pricing. And if you can't find what you're looking for, they'll special order it for you. Bay Guns and Gear, across from Grease Pro at 3115 Highway 77. Visit their website, baygunsandgear.com.
Are you looking for a way to stay safe and independent at home? If so, then you need to look at Compassionate Love Home Care. Compassionate Love Home Care provides a variety of services to help seniors and people with disabilities live safely and comfortably at home, making each day the best it can be. To learn more about Compassionate Love Home Care, please call 850-628-8438 or visit their website, CompassionateLoveHomeCare.com.
Lorraine knew she wanted to adopt a teenager from foster care.
I love teenagers. I think it adds an element of fun because you can really do activities as a family that everybody loves.
The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption believes you're never too old for family. More than 20,000 children in the U.S. are at risk of aging out of foster care without a family. Learn how you can help at davethomasfoundation.org.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DM Mariana, WVLQ Port St. Joe, powered by Pepsi, ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the next evolution of Sports Talk Radio. The biggest stories and the biggest reactions.
Now.
And now, we're taking...
With the first pick.
This is the last ball you got to bat. The Inside Drive. From college to the pros. Interviews with the newsmakers, sports betting, your phone calls, and more. And now, The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And good morning, Panama City Beach, Panama City, Mariana, Dothan, Port St. Joe, Apalachicola, basically everywhere across the Florida Panhandle. You are listening to The Inside Drive. We are live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. You can listen on 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 along the Forgotten Coast, and then 102.1 up there in Mariana as soon as that big tower gets fixed, which if you follow our ESPN Northwest Florida Facebook page, you saw what happened to that. The good news is there's many ways to listen besides over the FM airways. You can download our free mobile app inside the Google Play and App Store. Just search 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. And of course, you can listen live right there on ESPNPC.com. You can also watch us and listen to us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Again, just search ESPN Northwest Florida. We are sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. We appreciate Chris and all his businesses sponsoring the studio here on the Inside Drive. Thursday is Kramer Day, so we're looking forward to that one. and we may have another pretty big-time special guest joining us on Thursday as well. Jay, we got you back in studio.
I'm back.
We're glad to have you back, and I know you had to head up to a funeral up there in Atlanta, and hope all's well. We were definitely thinking about you yesterday.
Thank you.
But, just it's one of those things. You just never know.
You never know, and I was a good friend, and just had to go pay my respects, obviously, and but yeah, it was a long drive, a lot of windshield time yesterday, and windshield time is sometimes good for you.
Yeah, it can be very therapeutic. That's for sure. Yeah. That's for sure. And you can down there at Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC, you can give them a call at 850-250-1403, or you can reach out to Kramer Marine and Outdoor. You can call them at 850-851-0453. Don't forget they are a Yamaha outboard full line dealer, and as well as have Yamaha Master Certified mechanics on staff selling Seabourn, Spyder, and Sundance, which are all part of the CRI boat family. They can get you back out on that water very, very, very quickly. Yeah. So we're excited to have that. We've got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to be joined here in just a couple minutes by Phil Shomo, who is an absolute mental coach wizard when it comes to the golf side of things. We're going to have him on the line, talking to him about everything mental side. We've talked a lot about the mental side, not just of golf, but in sports and life. His thing is the mental and emotional skills that can be learned to strengthen and gain a competitive edge on your opponent, which a lot of people focus on the technical skills, in golf especially, but the whole mental side of the game too. If you're strong on the mental side, that's also an edge that can give you your opponents as well. Yeah. And I appreciate you connecting to us, and I believe we do have him on the line. Jay, if you want to bring him in.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, Phil. Or good afternoon in your part of the world.
Yeah, good afternoon. How are you?
Good, Phil. It's been a couple of years since we've talked, and I'm so glad to have you here on the radio with us this morning. So tell me a little bit about what's been going on with you recently.
Well, it's good to chat with you again too, Jay. Thank you. Just living up here, Hilton Head Island in South Carolina, paradise. Golfing heaven and great beaches and all that. So. Just loving life here, and I'm a grandfather now, 2-year-old. I think that probably happened since the last time we were spending time together. So,
wow, congratulations.
Yeah, man, that's the best thing ever. So
grandson or granddaughter?
Grandson,
okay.
Up in Ohio, so we get up there. That's where we spent most of our life before we moved here, so we get back up there a lot, see them, and
that's great.
Just loving it, man. Loving it.
That's great, man. Well, I know last time we talked, obviously we had met, up at Canongate Golf Club in Atlanta, a few years ago. And I think at that point you were, doing some coaching for Point University there in Lynette, Alabama. But, man, you have really kind of turned on the afterburners the last couple of years. And tell me a little bit about some of the relationships you built, kind of in the NCAA world.
Yeah, it's been really amazing. When I first got into doing mental coaching, was just really kind of exploring it as a little bit of a hobby, working with some college coaches that I knew both in golf and tennis and baseball, and they were having me do some stuff with their teams. And really, right around the start of COVID, early 2020, I turned this into a business. And, of course, didn't know COVID was going to happen and all that, which at first seemed like, not such a great thing. But as a lot of us in the golf world know, that ended up being pretty good for golf. So on that side of it, obviously a horrible thing. But that really began to kind of expand, and I had some great connections, people introducing me to people. And eventually, on the NCAA side, have been blessed to be working with Mississippi State's men's golf team for a little over about almost 2.5 years now.
Who's currently leading the Morgan Hill Regional, by the way.
There you go. Yeah, I've got it here in front of me, actually. Refreshing it every second or two.
There you go.
Work with those guys. And I also now work with Augusta University, where one of my really dear friends, Stephen Payne, took over as head coach. He's just finishing his first year, and they're over at the Auburn Regional right now. And then I also now just over about starting this past January, I started working with University of South Florida down there in Tampa. So right now I have those 3 college teams that I work with. I also have about 65 or so individual clients that I work with that are all I really focus on the sort of the higher level junior golf world and also college golfers. So
that's great.
That's my space.
So what about, somebody, I guess maybe if a parent's listening and their kid is like 10, 11, 12 years old and, they see the potential in the golf, what do you advise maybe your, parents that have children under that age of 13 or 14?
I really don't. I start working personally, I start working with clients. Typically, at the earliest would be about 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And that varies a little bit depending on the child and their stage of development and how fast they're maturing. The younger kids, my personal philosophy is I'm a big believer in just trying to keep it as fun as possible. And I know, Jay, you do a really great job of that with the younger kids.
Thank you.
I'm a little leery of young people at that age hiring an individual coach to do mental training, only because I think it starts to create, either purposefully or sort of indirectly, a little bit too much of like a professionalization of their game. And at that age, I don't think they need to start thinking of golf as I mean, it's fun to think that you'll play golf the rest of your life or you want to be a professional when you grow up. I just don't think it's advantageous to start pushing that envelope too early, where everything has to become so professional, so driven, so specific, so detailed. And I think that tends to happen with bringing too many people around a team for young people that are too young.
Yeah.
I would much rather them really devote time to, a swing instructor if they can work with somebody that's really good with young people. And then like a lot of what I know you do, Jay, a lot of the camps and a lot of the more group environment. I just think it's much better developmentally. I think I've had a number of golfers that I've worked with over the last few years, either late junior golfer years, more like high school age, and even into college, who have actually really burned out on the game and have quit golf.
Yeah.
And that's, I really do think it's a real problem when the game becomes a little too much about the performance side and not just as much the playful side.
Yeah. Well,
so that's just my personal take on it, and I've been fortunate to be able to build a good client base by kind of approaching it that way. So.
Yeah, and I'm sure, obviously with, when you get to a teenage level, 15, 16, and the parent is 100% vested in their son or daughter, and they want to be a part of it. Do you feel like you come in as like not a mediator per se, but like, hey, look, step back a little bit and let me work with your child's mental game and kind of have the parent kind of take a back seat, right? I'm sure that's a challenge that you face.
Well, it is a challenge, yeah, and there are parents who do it really well,
yeah,
and then there are parents, I think, that are not doing it as well. But the ones who do it well, that I work with, very much see it as a team developmental approach, and they are beginning to transition typically between 14 and 18. They're beginning to transition into much more of a pure support role.
Yeah.
Support in every way. I mean, obviously they're investing a lot of financial money, but they're also just the emotional support and even more basic, just the stability support that they have to provide. The game of golf is so brutal on the competitive level, from the disappointments, the losses, the frustrations, what can be interpreted as failures. Like, it's just so central to competitive golf and is the majority of what you experience in tournaments. So having the parents play much more, and I don't just mean in a sort of coddling, babying kind of way. I just mean in a very much a supportive, foundational, you are a fundamental part of this family, win or lose, and that's not changing, and we don't shift the dynamics of how we operate as a family because you succeed or fail.
Oh, yeah.
So from that standpoint, I think then allowing people like myself, like you, Jay, people who are instructional, most of the young people I work with, many of them they all have a swing instructor. They have me as a mental coach. A lot of them have a physical trainer they're working with. And these are almost all kids on a path to like Division I level college golf. So it does get, in today's world, it starts getting, a pretty crowded team often. And if we're not careful, the parent ends up sort of crossing over into all of those roles, and it just gets really muddy, I think, for the young person. Very confusing.
Yeah.
No doubt. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We're joined by Phil Shomo, who is a mental skills coach. Phil, Ryan Mulvey here. Great to have you on. I was looking at your website, and one of the things I was talking to Jay before we got on is everybody focuses on, obviously, the fundamentals of the actual technical skills of your, football, golf, whatever it may be. And you focus on that because you're trying to get an edge on your opponents. But your kind of philosophy is that mental and emotional skills can also be an advantage over your opponents. And you were mentioning just a second ago, golf, if it's an individual tournament, there's only one person that's going to win and everybody else is going to lose. And how you deal with that is so important in golf because you nailed it on the head. Everything just comes down on you out there. Every shot. Oh, man, I grew up playing junior golf, and, you've seen so many people, and I mean, I've seen in my career in golf, I used to teach quite a bit and haven't since we came down to Panama City Beach, but you've just seen so many good kids ruined by overreaching parents. Why'd you hit that shot there? Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? And that's why a lot of these big time junior tours, they don't even let the parents talk to the kids anymore, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah.
So yes,
very much. I was actually at a junior tournament this past weekend here at Hilton Head. Had a young guy I coach. He's over in Atlanta, and he came over and he was playing this tournament here on Hilton Head. I was walking with his dad, and his dad didn't grow up in golf. Doesn't really. He's just still trying to learn the game.
Yeah.
And we're walking around, and this kid's a high school junior. And he's just talking to me about how hard it is to be a parent and just watch your kid play. Like, it is so, and I did that with my oldest son, who was a junior golfer, and it is so emotionally taxing on a parent to watch their kid really exposed by themselves. There's no team, there's no relief pitcher coming in, there's nobody can go give them advice. There's no coaches out there that can encourage them. They are literally out there by themselves, and you're watching them just deal with the ups and downs and the disappointments and it is really brutal to be a parent. And I think parents often take that sort of emotional agitation that they've got going on, and they sort of overreach that in trying to influence their kids while their kids are on the golf course. And a lot of that is just the parents' body language and reactions. And oftentimes, I mean, I've heard a lot of stuff, parents yelling and saying and reacting to kids missing putts and missing a shot. And it's a wild world to be a parent in, and it's not easy. I believe me, I did not do those years well at all. And I think a lot of what I try to do now is, I guess, in a sense, triggered by me trying to really learn from what I felt like I didn't do well when I was a parent of a young golfer. So it's hard.
Yes, there's no doubt. It's. I have an 8 and an 11-year-old coming up playing all sorts of sports, dabbling in golf a little bit with my son who's 8. But yeah, I couldn't even imagine the nerves that I feel, and I coach a lot of the sports that my kids are in, and the nerves that I feel because you can't control it. When you were talking about being out there by yourself, it's just you. You've got to hold up mentally to what just happened. What one of the people you were just doing, you may just hit a great shot but got a terrible break. And to look over and feel that same emotion coming from your parents is that's hard. And being a parent in golf, I couldn't imagine the difficulty because you can't control anything and you just got to be there to support. And so with all that being said, when you're talking about the mental and emotional skills that you focus on when you're teaching these higher level junior golfers and these college athletes, that's just as important as everything else when it comes to this high level golf. Explain that a little bit and how you really focus on that side of their skills, because it's well-rounded. It's not just physical, it's mental, it's your nutrition, it's everything that goes into being a top-level athlete in your sport. And the mental side, I think a lot of times, especially, when I was growing up playing junior golf, we never even talked about that kind of stuff. Yeah. And you see it so much more now in all sports, how important that mental side is. We've had the privilege of talking to a lot of Division I golf coaches, a couple at Florida State, and how much time they dedicate. And even yesterday we were talking to Amy Bond from FSU as she's getting ready to take her team back out to the national championship. They have a class that they can take that's dedicated just to rest and relaxation for their golf team. So
that's awesome.
Touch a little bit on how you focus on those mental and emotional sides to kind of round out your big time athletes coming up and how that benefits them in the long run.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. It's so the game of golf in particular, I think the more individualized the sport, I think the more critical the mental training side is. So that's why you see mental coaching really big in golf, tennis, baseball, because I think every Major League Baseball team now has full-time people on staff who are literally just training mental skills. Because you are very much in a spotlight, you're all alone, your performance is automatically, results are seen by everybody and judged by everybody. So it's just sort of the nature of the sport, and I think I'm grateful we've developed to the point where we recognize that there really is both a very taxing side to the mental and emotional part of the game, but then also a real opportunity to develop skills on that side of the game. So on a high level, the way I explain this to people who are interested is I basically say, think about a round of golf. A junior golfer goes to a golf tournament and plays a round of golf in about 4.5 hours. And in those 4.5 hours, if they shoot 75, let's say, they literally moved a golf club about 75 total seconds to hit a ball, because each swing or each putt is roughly about 1 second, give or take a little bit, from the time the club moves from the ball till the ball's gone. So you think about 4.5 hours, and I spent 75 seconds actually hitting a ball. What am I doing for the rest of that time?
God, it's a heck of a way to put it.
No doubt.
Obviously, that's how it is, but I never thought of it that way. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the rest of that time is really all about maximizing your preparation or your ability to navigate the unfolding story of a round of golf in such a way that those 75 seconds can be performed as well as you're capable of performing them, or at least close to that.
Absolutely.
So that's really what the mental skills are, is everything outside of the actual mechanics of a swing or a putting stroke or a bunker shot or a chipping motion. It's how am I using, and I talk in terms of some basic fundamentals. Focus is a basic fundamental. How do I learn to focus on the right things and not focus on the distracting things or the pressure-inducing things or the things that actually harm my performance or make it less likely that I perform? So focus is a fundamental skill. Something like discipline is a very fundamental skill. Discipline in my world is that ability to not only know how to perform something, but to be very consistent and precise in repeating that over and over and over and over. And then there's the third probably big key would be patience. And patience to me is that ability to continue managing all the temptations that can pull you away and stay in your routine, in your self-control, in your decision-making, in your execution of those discipline strategies. So when you combine focus, discipline, and patience, it's really what begins to elevate a golfer's tournament ability to be closer to what they're actually capable of doing off the golf course or outside of a tournament. The mental game doesn't necessarily ever make somebody a better golfer than what their physical skills are allowing them to be.
But allows those physical skills to come out in their maximum ability.
Yeah, more often. And that's the real challenge, because almost any skilled golfer physically can go play a relaxed non-tournament round of golf and play at a pretty high level. And then you get inside the tournament arena and that environment and what the consequences are and what it means and what, having your scores posted everywhere and what having all these people watch or having college coach, recruiting you, or having your high school coach, wanting you to post a score for the team. It's like the tournament environment changes the way we function as people. And the way we function as people changes our ability to execute those mechanics that we train so well on the physical side.
Man.
So that's really the best way I explain kind of how I think the mental and emotional skills work. And that focus, discipline, and patience, if you think about it, those really are character traits, character skills. Those are really maturity kind of skills. And it's hard for all of us to, and especially in the modern world with how fast our attention spans bounce all over the place, it's hard for any of us to really direct our focus into a pinpointed specific place and really concentrate well. And then it's hard for us to stay disciplined with a game plan, a pre-shot routine, a consistent decision making, and then to do that with patience over the course of the ups and downs of 4.5 hours. It's very hard for anybody to do that, much less people 15 to 22.
Yeah, who aren't mature yet. Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, Coach Phil, we got a break coming up. We're going to talk some more about all this awesome stuff. You're listening to Coach Phil Shomo live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. You can check out more information on him and his website at www.philshomo. That's SHOMO.com. We're sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. We'll be right back with more from Phil Shomo.
ESPN Northwest Florida. We're taking the inside drive.
They're saying for the second time the NBA helped LeBron beat Steph. Here's where the facts kind of come in. Los Angeles Lakers got 80 more free throw attempts over 6 games, which is an average of 13.3 free throw attempts per game more. However, in the 4 wins, the Lakers got 19 more.
Join Ryan Mulvey.
Thank you very little.
Middays 11 to 1 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Tuesday's weather. This afternoon and evening there will be a moderate breeze out of the southwest, a chance of thunderstorms and some sun and 82. A chance of thunderstorms and mostly clouds tonight, about the same at 75. Tomorrow, partly cloudy in the morning and then a possibility of thunderstorms and a high of 82. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Everyone loves gold chains. I mean, who doesn't? Gold always works. Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves features the largest selection of 14-karat gold chains, bracelets, pendants, and earrings you'll find anywhere. In fact, more than all the other stores in Bay County combined. And they're all on sale today at Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves. You won't find a larger selection or lower prices anywhere. Gold always works, and you can take that to the bank.
By now, you've heard us talking about Tiger TV Pro. Hi, David Hayes from the Afternoon Underdogs, here to remind you about this incredible streaming service with over 6,000 premium channels. And the cost, you ask? $15 a month. Yes, only $15 a month. Every sports channel is available, including the ACC and SEC network, the NFL, NBA, MLB, HBO, Showtime, and thousands more. For more info, go to our website at espnpc.com. Scroll down and click the Tiger logo.
And now the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey.
We're going to have a talk.
Tell me what you know. Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios.
It's a frantic noise.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. You can listen on 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 along the Forgotten Coast, as well as 102.1 up there in Marianna all the way to Dothan, including our friends in Southwest Georgia. We've got 3 great local shows every day, Monday through Friday. It kicks off every morning with the Coach James Hale Show from 7 to 9 a.m. You get all your fix about Alabama football, and then you ride with us midday from 11 to 1, myself and Jay Henley on the Inside Drive. And then this afternoon from 4 to 6 p.m., you'll be joined by the Afternoon Underdogs. David Hayes and his crew do a wonderful job talking all things sports and have some really great guests on there as well. Want to also mention South Oak Title and Closing. They've got 4 awesome locations across the panhandle of Florida over there in 30A, one down the road in Panama City Beach, Destin, as well as the one up on 77 in Lynn Haven. Virtually all your title fees are the same no matter where you go. So you want to go where the people are friendly, knowledgeable, know what they're doing, can get you across that closing line nice and easy. And they're if you've ever been in a South Oak, they're all just beautiful, comfort, just awesome buildings. Chuck Tucker and his whole team does a wonderful job. We're joined on the line by Coach Phil Shomo. You can check out his information at philshomo.com. That's Phil, SHOMO.com. Talking about the mental side, specifically to golf, but not just golf is the mental side is important. Coach Phil, if you go on your website, you talk about those areas of emphasis and overcoming negative tendencies. Some of those areas of emphasis are, obviously the competitive mindset, your emotional control. You've touched on focus and concentration quite a bit with those 3 things: focus, discipline, and patience out on the golf course. Playing fully present. I really, really like that one. When you are out doing whatever sport it may be, you are giving it your all. You are fully present mentally with what you're trying to do, and that really should be in anything you're doing in life. And you mentioned in the last segment how our attention spans are so short with everything going on. Adjusting to adversity, as well as recovery from disappointment. Those last 2 really stuck out to me in the golf side of things. You were mentioning the 75 seconds. If you shoot 75 is basically all the mechanical movement, and everything else is in your mind and what you have going on. Adjusting to adversity on the golf course is definitely a tricky one, because you're not only dealing with your own game, but if you're playing in a competitive tournament, somebody could have went on a couple birdie streak run and making some happen. You're looking at the leaderboard and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, recovery from disappointment, because most of us as golfers, we talk about it all the time on the show, especially our regular people that go out and play. The expectations every time they go out on the course is to shoot the best round of their life, and that's just not the reality. So how do you recover from a disappointing double bogey? How do you recover from those things is so important. Can you just touch a little bit on kind of those areas of emphasis and how you kind of present them to the golfers that you work with, and how that helps with their game? Because this doesn't just help high-level golfers. This helps the average Joe or Jane that's going out there and playing a round of golf.
Yeah, thanks. It's a great question. I think it's a pretty large mindset shift that I'm trying to help golfers make. All golfers have some level of capability that they're always hoping they play to when they go out and play. Recreational golfers, competitive golfers, whatever. And the expectations often leak into those hopes. So I hope I have my best day or close to my best day or what I think I'm capable of doing. But as soon as I start expecting that to be the reality of today, then anything outside of that reality becomes exaggerated in both my sort of reactions often, but also in my perspective and assumptions about what's wrong or what I'm doing wrong, or all of the negative spiral about, me, I suck, I'm a choker, I can't play, whatever. So what I try to do is help golfers really on a real high, large level. I try to educate them about what the realities of golf really are, and that your job is to improve your ability to work with those realities. So acceptance of realities is a big deal, meaning before you ever go out and play, your expectations really need to be connected to golf reality. You will hit some good shots. You will hit some bad shots. You will have some good holes. You will have some bad holes. You'll probably have stretches of holes today that are really good, but you're also likely to have stretches that are really tough. And when that's your expectation, or when that begins to be what you understand you're going out to play, then when those things are happening, you're not as shocked and surprised. Just as on the human level, we don't do shock really well. Like, I'm running a little late for work, I'm in my car, I need all the lights to hit exactly right, and I need the traffic to be exactly right, and then all of a sudden I hear a blowout on my tire and I got a flat tire. Like, we don't do that stuff well. Because that, especially for competent performance, sort of perfectionistic people, which is pretty much everybody I work with in the higher level golf space. So the more I can reduce that shock factor by being, this is part of the game that I'm playing, then the better I can actually bring myself back to okay, I can't change that. How do I make the most of it? And I say those two phrases a lot. Once it's done, I can't change it. How can I make the most of it?
Man,
a playing partner I've got in my group has rolled in 3 straight putts outside of 20 feet, and I've lipped out 4 straight inside of 10 feet.
There's not a damn thing you can do about it either.
Not a thing I can do about it. I can't do anything about what the other player does. So on the high level, it's an understanding that the game of golf is not a game of perfection, which Dr. Bob Rotella wrote a book on that years ago, but that's really such a key piece. You can be really good, but your A game is maybe 15% of the time you're on the golf course. You also have a C game that is 15% of the time that you're on the golf course. And then everything else is just your B game. That's just it's just normal golf. So me playing golf with a mindset of A game or nothing is a formula for panic, and it's a formula for me assuming something's wrong with my golf swing on the golf course when it's probably not nearly as bad as what I think it is. Jay, you could probably speak to that better than I can.
Right.
The quick assumption on the golf course by a competent golfer who's been trained for hours and hours and hours and hours and seen their swing on video 1 million times and knows all the TrackMan numbers and all the spin rates and launch angles.
Yeah.
How quick they assume that something's wrong with their swing on the golf course is so fast today.
Oh, yeah. Well, and my thing, Phil, is I've watched other mental coaches, within the game, and what's your thoughts on obviously you hit a bad shot, do you let that frustration out and then and move on, or do you withhold it? And I don't know if that's something for each character.
Question.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to that, but
Yeah, I get that all the time, and I am actually a fan of emotions in golf.
Yeah.
I'm not you should stifle all emotions and look like a robot. And the reason is because I don't think, as humans, that's consistent with who we are.
Yeah.
Like, we're emotional people. We react. And the way I try to explain emotions is there is appropriate reaction to a mistake. You want something to be good, you're focused on it, you've got a really good target, you go through your whole process, and then you hit a terrible shot. There is an appropriate reaction to that.
Yeah.
And so I try to help my golfers understand that your initial reflex reactions need to be within the range of the mistake. So when I exaggerate that reaction or assume that mistake is catastrophe, now I'm creating a bigger problem where those emotions begin to have way too much influence and control over me. But if I can just react to the shot in an appropriate way, like I miss a putt and a reaction of, oh man, no way, how'd that miss? Like, that's normal, that's human.
Yeah.
So react, and then hopefully within 10 seconds, 15 seconds, begin to shift that reaction from just an emotional frustration and anger to a much more of begin to think more rationally about the mistake. Okay, I missed that one right. What do I do when I miss a shot right? Well, I typically open up my hips a little too quick and I get slow on my transition, or Jay, you could explain all that stuff better.
Yeah.
But when I know that, I can say, okay, now I can actually walk over here to the side, take a couple of slow practice swings before I put my club back in the bag, and just feel a little better transition on my swing. So now what I've done by doing that is I took that emotionalization of the mistake and I began to lower the emotional temperature, and I begin to elevate the informational side of me actually understanding what I'm doing. The emotional over-exaggerations actually create a big sense of both agitation and frustration, but also a big sense of confusion and anger. Why did that happen? I can't believe I did that. That's so dumb. And all of that is just beginning a spin in my head. Whereas if I allow myself to react, and then I begin to shift into very informationalized, not overthinking, not overcorrecting. It's not time for us to rework our swing on the golf course. It's very simple understandings.
Yeah.
Okay. And a lot of times on a missed putt, it might be, what happened there? I rolled a good putt. Okay. You rolled a good putt and it just missed. That's part of the game you're playing. That's part of the reality.
Golf is in life, right, Phil? Golf is in life. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So I'm not trying to stifle emotions. I think emotions create a good amount of energy in our bodies, which can be channeled into concentration, focus, clear-headed decision-making. Those emotions like fuel. It's like fuel in the gas tank.
Yeah.
But you don't want the emotions to begin driving the car. You want the emotions to be something you're using to make your round better.
That's right.
And that's the way I approach it with the players that I work with.
Well, I just know I followed you the last 4 years, and you know, obviously whatever you're doing is correct, and you're moving in the right direction with turning this, you know, obviously into your business, and you know, to have these Division I schools believe in you, and man, it is so cool to hear you talk about all that, and you keep moving forward, and so you're doing something right, Phil. So.
Thank you, Jay. I'm honored, man, and I'm very blessed to hear you say that. Thank you. I love what's happening for you, too. I love following what you're doing, and keep it up, man.
Thank you, Phil.
Well, I was going to ask you a question kind of related towards the regular golfers that may be listening, and I mean that term as nicely as possible, but I think you kind of hit on it. Expectations, I heard you say expectations connected with your realities. That is so important in any sport as well. You know, you've got to know what your reality is so that your expectation matches that. Because if your expectations are beyond your reality, you nailed it. You're going to be disappointed every time you go out there, and I don't know how many people you see go out there and play and then come in, they're upset and disappointed and all that kind of stuff. And I just try to tell everybody, just, you know, have less expectations, manage your expectations, but that expectations connected to your realities really hit me on the head. It's, you know, being on the golf business side of it, you know, we hardly play golf anymore. Jay plays a lot more than I do. But what you go out there and you play with your members, or you play in a golf tournament, you know, in your section that you haven't done in a long time, there's that thought process. You always hear the members say, "Oh, you should be playing from the back tees because you're a pro." And it's like, well, we're not really a pro. I mean, we're a pro, but we don't play golf all the time like y'all do. And so they're already setting that expectation that because you're a quote unquote pro, you should be going out there and shooting even par or better every time you tee it off. So it's kind of one of the things when I get out there and play, I just whatever happens that day is completely fine with me, because my reality in the situation in golf is I don't practice ever. I don't play hardly ever. So how can I expect to execute from a physical standpoint? I know it's in there and it does happen sometimes, but knowing that, when I'm out there, my reality is you're probably not going to hit a lot of great shots. So hopefully your putting and your short game is on, because that'll make your score better. But I wish I had focused on this growing up on the junior golf side of things, because that was one thing. Again, you just didn't have that access and all the stuff that you talked about with mental and the internet and this stuff. Because when it clicked for me and I realized how to manage those expectations on the golf course and just go out there and try to have some fun, and if my ability is still in there and it comes out every once in a while, great. And I've really enjoyed playing a lot more golf since then. So really love that expectations connected to your realities. Before we got to jump on our next break, just would love to hear one of your favorite success stories, one of your students or whoever it may be that has really, you've seen him make a huge change and go on to be very successful. I know it's kind of putting you on the spot there.
Well, I'll give you a quick one that just comes to mind right off the top of my head. I mean, I have a lot that come to mind that I'm very proud of. I had a junior golfer who, early on, when I first created this business, I got connected to a young guy from the Atlanta area, very, very, very talented. I actually met him at a tournament I was at with another client I was working with. I was there watching and met this young guy and his family, and very just incredibly talented young man, but very struggling a lot with being able to pull the trigger over the ball and getting into shots. Just a really sort of a severe case of combination probably of anxiety and a little bit of hyper-perfectionism where, I can't pull the club away until everything's exactly perfect, and was able to start working with him. And I think when I first started working with him, he had about a year and a half left in junior golf, and he was ranked 900 and something in the country. And he left for college about a year and a half later. I think his ranking was as high as 18, 14, 18.
Wow.
Something like that.
Wow.
And it really wasn't anything other than just helping him let go of the things that were holding him back. And letting his talent become much more consistent. And he's in college now. I still work with him, very close to his family, work with him on a regular basis, and just continuing to see him develop makes it all worth it, man. It's really fun.
That's cool.
That's awesome. Now, do you have to be in Hilton Head to benefit from your coaching services, or can people do it kind of remotely from all over the country?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't coach anybody here in Hilton Head. I actually don't. I might have one. I might have one or two clients in the state of South Carolina. Nice. I do almost all of my coaching through Zoom coaching sessions. They're 45 to 60-minute sessions. The vast majority of my golfer individual clients are up in the Atlanta area, specifically on the north end of Atlanta. Jay would probably be familiar with how hot the junior golf world is up there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I also have clients in North Carolina, Florida, work with Mississippi State's guys all the time. So it's in today's world, I'm very blessed. I don't have to be physically in the same place.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I do in-person stuff. I do travel a fair bit, but I spend the majority of all day, every day, and coaching sessions, sitting in front of a computer on Zoom. So,
well, just real quick, and you were doing the podcast thing for a little while. I'm assuming you got too busy with the mental side of the game.
I did, and that's you were you were so kind to be a guest for me on my podcast. That was when COVID first hit.
Yep.
My business wasn't really off the ground, and I was trying to just, do everything I could to keep learning myself and keep investing in the golf space. And so I did start that podcast. I really enjoyed it. It went really great. I was very blessed to have things kind of explode by the end of 2020, and had to make some decisions about what was my higher priorities for my time. So that's the podcast. Kind of sad, but that it went away. But
for good reasons. For good reasons. Hey, Coach Phil, we appreciate you joining us on the program today. We hope to have you back sometime soon, as I could sit here and listen and talk with you for hours on end about all this stuff. So if you're looking to get some mental skills coaching, you can visit philshomo.com. As you can hear, he knows what it takes to round out your whole game, especially on the golf side, not just with your physical skills, but with the mental skills that put it all together and make you a successful athlete. Phil, we appreciate your time today, and we hope to talk soon.
Thank you, Ryan. Great talking to you and Jay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. You are listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We will be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
With Max Fried and Kyle Wright out with injuries, who's going to step up for the Atlanta Braves? Tonight, it's Game 2, Atlanta at the Texas Rangers. We'll have coverage live from Arlington at 6, right after the afternoon underdogs. First pitch at 7:05. Listen in ultra-high fidelity on your home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
The new Smokin' Triple Stack at Firehouse Subs is stacked high with honey ham, smoked turkey, and slow-smoked beef brisket. To top it off, a portion of every purchase helps provide life-saving equipment to first responders. The Smokin' Triple Stack Sub. Get it for a limited time, only at Firehouse Subs. Participating U.S. locations. Firehouse of America, LLC, and Firehouse Subs suppliers together will donate 0.09% of purchases in 2023 at Firehouse Subs locations to the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation for the purchase of life-saving equipment with a minimum donation of $1 million.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Shelby's Walk Foundation is named after my daughter Shelby, who killed herself on December 24th, 2019 from the unhealed trauma of being raped at age 11. The mission of Shelby's Walk Foundation is to change the ending by creating opportunities for new beginnings by funding holistic trauma healing for anyone who reaches out. My daughter's story can be read at shelbyswalk.org. Please visit shelbyswalk.org to donate or to volunteer or to reach out for more information. Thank you very much.
Suffer from political talk radio fatigue? Tune into the most fun and exciting new radio show on the Gulf Coast. It's The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. From the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We just had the pleasure of listening and chatting with Phil Shomo, who is a great mental skills coach, pretty much specifically to the world of golf, which, obviously the mental skills in all sports are very, very important, but I think golf is probably the toughest one because of all the things he mentioned. If you had a chance to listen to those segments, some good stuff there, really a lot of good stuff that we took away.
I think, Ryan, the one thing I got was, 4.5 rounds, or 4.5 hours in a round, and you spend 75 seconds typically Well, that is if you shoot 75.
Yeah, if you shoot 75, I mean.
Some of us are 100, maybe 120 seconds.
Well, if you're playing with Patrick Cantley, that's not 75 seconds.
Well, that's true.
That's about 2 hours worth of actual swing movement and, preparing to hit the shot anyway.
Right.
We're sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. Don't forget, you can listen on 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 along the Forgotten Coast, as well as 102.1 up there in Mariana all the way to Dothan. You can visit Kramer Marine and Outdoor, as well as Kramer Buick Chevrolet GMC at 2251 West 23rd Street over there in Panama City. Just head east on 23rd Street and you'll run right into it. They've got tons of vehicles in stock, several more than they had last year. Trade-in values are still very high, so if you're looking to get a new car, you might be able to just swap it out and keep that monthly payment pretty similar. And of course, they always do tires at cost. 42 days to the Bay Point Billfish Open. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. I know we got a quick segment coming up, and I wanted to touch on a little. We talked yesterday about the men's NCAA regionals got underway yesterday, and got to check in with our Florida State Seminoles playing over there at the Institute Golf Club in California, which is an ultra high end private club that nobody really knows a whole lot about.
You can't even Google that.
You can't. There's no course website. There's nothing. Try to find out all sorts of information on that.
Is this the Area 51 of golf?
Yeah. It pretty much feels like it, except probably a lot more green grass though, where this golf course is than down there in Arizona. But Florida State's off to a solid start. They're -7 for the tournament as of right now, which is second place behind Mississippi State, which Coach Phil was talking about. He works with some of those Mississippi State players. Who do he obviously does a great job. So continued luck to Florida State. Your Georgia Bulldogs got off to a hot start yesterday, and they're currently 28 under par in their regional with the Mike Small and the Fighting Illini right behind them at 16 under par. Ooh. And then Auburn's hosting one up there at the Auburn Regional at the Auburn University Club. They're currently -4, 1 stroke behind Colorado State. And don't forget, there's 6 regionals going on, and 5 teams from each of those regionals have advanced to the national championship, which that national championship is certainly a grind. We were talking to Coach Amy Bond about it yesterday. Hey, we got a caller on the line. I believe it's Keith out there. Keith, are you on the line?
Hey, what's up, Ryan?
Hey, Keith, how are you?
Hey, Keith, how you doing?
Good. I leave this Thursday.
And you're heading down to Orlando, right?
Yes.
Are you excited, man? I bet you are.
Yes.
And Keith, you're one of our awesome Special Olympics athletes that come out to the clinic in the afternoon. Are you coming out this afternoon to hang out with Jay?
Yes.
All right, man.
Awesome. Well, and you're competing. Is this golf competition you're competing, or is this?
No. Shot put.
Shot put. That's right. Track and field. But you do basketball. You do track and field. You do golf. You do bowling.
Track and field. Yes.
And you'll be traveling down to the ESPN Wide World of Sports in Orlando, right? That's kind of cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to get a recap.
Hot.
Oh yeah.
That's all right. You can handle it. We're pulling for you and the rest of the team heading down there, and we'll definitely get an update early next week to see how y'all did, Keith. Good luck, and give us a shout out to your favorite college football team out there.
Howard State.
Oh, that's right. He's a big Buckeye, that's for sure.
Yep.
Hey, Keith, we appreciate the call, and we'll see you out there.
Ryan.
Yeah.
Can I get T-shirts if
I think we can make an ESPN Northwest Florida T-shirt happen for you, Keith. What size do you need?
3.
Got it. I'll see if they got one. If not, they've got some more on order, and we'll definitely get you a T-shirt, Keith.
Okay.
Awesome, man.
Right. Jay,
have a good afternoon.
A little bit, Jay.
Yeah, I'll bring one to you. Keith.
All right, Keith. Well, if I don't talk to you, good luck when you head down to Orlando.
Okay.
All right, take care, Keith.
And, talking about what we got going on there at Bay Point, this morning you had the Florida Panhandle Golf Therapy Alliance Clinic. Had some new people get involved. We're excited about some other businesses, jumping in with TIP and the organization. It continues to still be growing, which is awesome. But with Keith calling in, don't forget, you have the every Tuesday morning, you've got the coffee social from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. at Bar 72 at Bay Point Golf Club, followed by some instruction and just using golf as therapy. That's really what this organization is all about. Got 3 paramobiles in-house now. We just got a new solo rider for other people with mobility issues to get out there and play some golf. And then, of course, every afternoon this time of year, you've got the Special Olympics athletes as well as the Rotary Community Corps coming out and learning golf and having fun. And Keith's been involved for a long time, and he's an unbelievable Special Olympics athlete. And he's won some bowling tournaments, and he plays basketball. And I know he's excited to go down there and throw shot put. And you get to go to the ESPN Wide World of Sports in Orlando. They're going to have an absolutely awesome time, and very much looking forward to them. Again, just touching on that NCAA regional, I finally got it to update. For some reason, it wasn't wanting to update. But Mississippi State's won over today. Florida State's even par, so they're still at 7 under. Mississippi State is at minus 11. Again, that coveted top 5 is what you're shooting for. So really, today's round sets you up for that final round out there at that Institute Golf Club. So good luck. And I know Frederick, I want to say his, if I pronounce his last name wrong, I apologize for that. I think it's Ketrup. He was minus 4 yesterday and was off to a really hot start as an individual as well. Right. But those Georgia Bulldogs are looking good, looking really, really good. Again, I hate to say that. I want to touch on something with you, Georgia, later, because I know we got a break coming up here pretty quick. And when we get back at the top of the hour, I'm excited to talk to Olivia Botko. She's a member of the USC, that's Southern California beach volleyball team. She just a couple weeks ago, almost May 7th, was the national championship match. We talked about it a little bit that week leading up to it, and they three-peated as national champions. And we're excited to talk to her about beach volleyball and all the things she does. And volleyball around here in Bay County is huge, and a lot of people go out there to the Mobile area for tournaments and stuff like that. And Gulf Shores is actually who hosted the NCAA national championship this past year, which is pretty cool. Yeah, Georgia's minus 27 now, 9 under on their round today. It helps when you've got 3 players inside the top 5, with Caleb Manuel being 9 under, almost finished up his round today. And then Ben Van Wyck is minus 8 for the tournament with a couple holes to go. Just pretty cool stuff. And then Maxwell Ford's minus 5.
I just think it's funny that the Dogs, golf coach is Chris Hack.
Yeah.
No pun intended, but I mean, like, that's kind of cool.
Kind of a interesting last name to have with you there when you're playing golf or coaching golf.
Yeah, and Coach Hack's been around for forever. He's from Noonan, Georgia, and he's been at Georgia for, when I was there in 2006, I know he's been there at least 20-something years, but he always produces the golfers at UGA. It's amazing.
It's just like the football team. They keep getting those recruits.
Yep.
We got a break coming up at the top of the hour. We'll switch over to the afternoon. When we get back, we'll be talking to Olivia Botko from the USC Trojans National Championship winning beach volleyball team. You're listening to the Inside Drive here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Colin Cowherd.
I'm comparing this LeBron to LeBron in his prime. Of course he looks average. Of course he looks old and at times mediocre. And of course he disappears at times. Stop comparing this LeBron to old LeBron and just compare him to the rest of mortals.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays, ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Tuesday's weather. This afternoon and evening there will be a moderate breeze out of the southwest, a chance of thunderstorms and some sun and 82. A chance of thunderstorms and mostly clouds tonight, about the same at 75. Tomorrow, partly cloudy in the morning and then a possibility of thunderstorms and a high of 82. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Ben and Deb Collins, owners of Bay Guns and Gear, have been in business since 2010, offering new firearms and accessories with a huge selection available for your hunting needs and personal defense. Turn to Bay Guns and Gear. They have the weapon for you. Discount pricing. And if you can't find what you're looking for, they'll special order it for you. Bay Guns and Gear, across from Grease Pro at 3115 Highway 77. Visit their website, baygunsandgear.com.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT W271DN Mariana, WVLQ Port St. Joe, powered by Pepsi, ESPN Northwest Florida. Back to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios.
It's alive! Look alive! We're alive!
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
And good afternoon here in Panama City Beach, Bay County, all across the Florida Panhandle. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We are sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. You can listen to us locally on 104.3 Panama City Beach, 101.9 along the Forgotten Coast, as well as 102.1 in Mariana, all the way up there to Dothan and Jay's friends and family up there in Southwest Georgia. You can also stream live on Facebook, YouTube, as well as Twitch. Just search ESPN Northwest Florida. And don't forget, you can download our free mobile app inside the Google Play Store as well as the Apple Store. Just search 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. And last but not least, you can visit www.espnpc.com and click that Listen Live button. I'm excited to have Olivia Bakos, is that how you pronounce your last name, Olivia, on the show today. We are so happy to have you on and excited how this connection worked out to have a national champion in the studio. Is we're pretty proud of that. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing awesome. And
good afternoon, Olivia, or good morning if you're calling from the West Coast.
She's 2 hours behind us for sure.
Yeah. Well, good morning. Glad to have you on.
So, Olivia,
thank you for having me.
Of course, and obviously, congratulations to a national championship victory just a couple weekends ago. Really, just down the road from us in Gulf Shores, Alabama. So, huge congrats on that. Olivia is a member of the University of Southern California women's beach volleyball team, and they just had their third straight national championship. And it was probably a little sweeter beating that other team just across the city of UCLA in that final match. Olivia, just had to, I'll touch on it real quick, and then I got a lot of questions in your history in volleyball and how you grew up and all that stuff. But, in the semifinals of the national championship tournament, and for our listeners, how it works with beach volleyball is there's 5 pairs, and they call them duels. And each match, I guess for the lack of a better term, it's the best out of 3 in those 5 duels. And then within those, each 5 duels, you have a best out of 3 as well between the two teams playing one another. And in the semifinal match, y'all had a pretty pivotal victory to send your team to the national championship. The duel was tied up against TCU. It was 2-2, and then you and your partner Gabby were out there, and you dropped that first set in that game, but then you came back to fight back and win the second set, and then go on to win that final set 15-12 to send your team to the national championship. How exciting was that for you and your partner Gabby to have that kind of pressure and that excitement, and you guys delivered at the right time?
It was extremely exciting and honestly pretty nerve-wracking a little bit too. We've been in that situation a couple times before, and we weren't exactly able to pull it off, so it was really special being able to pull it off at such an important and crucial time. I think that the biggest thing for us was to remain calm and focused. And I think in those situations, you really need to trust in your training and know that you've prepared for that moment. And we have multiple times. I mean, we trained for countless hours this year, so we were ready for that moment. I think another big thing, too, was feeding off of the energy around us. I mean, our teammates were lined up on the sidelines, and there was tons of fans rooting for us. So being able to feed off that energy really helped us excel in that moment and ultimately end up winning. So that was really, really special and very exciting. And honestly, it's hard to put into words like how I was feeling in that situation, but I'm happy I was able to remain calm in that situation and not let the externalities get to me, and the pressure and all the extra fans and all the TCU flags and everything. So I'm glad we were able to focus on ourselves and get the job done.
Well, and you nailed it. We had we were talking earlier in the program to a mental coach on the golf side, and we're talking about expectations and living in the moment and all that stuff. It's just, I know you have coaches, but it's you and your partner out there in the match talking with one another. How do y'all keep each other focused and stay in that moment and try not to let that moment get too big? Do you feed off each other when it comes to that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we definitely do feed off each other. I think something special about our partnership is that we both stay very positive, and I love playing with Gabby because she doesn't really let anything faze her, honestly. So I think that helps me as well, like seeing that she doesn't get unfazed by, or she doesn't get fazed by anything, like helps me not get fazed by anything. And we are able to, like, we lift each other up in moments like when we need it, I think, which is really helpful, and we feed off each other's energy. And I think I'm more like energetic and loud and a little more like outgoing on the court than she is. So I think she feeds off my energy well, and then I kind of feed off like her like calm presence and her ability to remain, to not get fazed by any of the bad plays. So I think we balance each other out really well.
Yeah, it sounds like, I mean, sometimes that relationship, especially when it comes to a pair kind of thing, you've got two different personalities that just blend into some serious success. How does it work with your partner? Now, did you play with her most of the year, or do you guys rotate and switch? How does that all work when it comes to your tournaments that you play in?
Actually, it was funny. Gabby and I had not really practiced together the entire year. Literally a couple days before season started, we were partners together, and we had played together a few times throughout the year, but literally like a couple days before season started is when our coaches put us together, and we were like, all right, let's do this. But yeah, we clicked like almost instantly, honestly, and it's so easy playing with her, so that made it all that much better.
I'm assuming that relationship is so important when it comes to the volleyball duels that y'all are playing in, and you got to have that relationship, as in any sport, but just so paramount because it's the two of y'all out there.
Yeah, for sure. Like, having good chemistry is extremely important. I mean, two players can look really good together on paper, but they just cannot play well together because their personalities don't click, or just the chemistry isn't there. So we're really lucky to be able to have that chemistry so fast, because there's a lot of players, honestly, that would look so good together on paper, and they go out and play together, and you're like, why it's not connecting, it's not working, and you're confused as to why. So yeah, definitely personality and chemistry is a huge thing.
Hey, Olivia, this is Jay in the studio. So the national championship was in Gulf Shores, Alabama, is that right?
Yes.
Does that happen every year at Gulf Shores, or does that rotate throughout the country, or how does that work?
Yes, it's been in Gulf Shores every year, and it's a really cool venue. I mean, the white sands and just the overall environment. And I think what's cool about Gulf Shores, too, is that the unexpected weather conditions. Obviously not ideal always, but I think that sometimes when it's really windy, it kind of evens out the playing field a little bit and comes down to like who can perform best in those situations. And luckily we've played a lot in the rain and the wind this year, so I think that prepared us a lot for being in Gulf Shores, which was really great.
So do they set up arenas along the beach, and there's certain stadium, like paint the picture to some of the listeners out there as far as what a beach.
You were supposed to be watching it, Jay. We talked about it the first week of the show. I watched every USC match that entire weekend.
I'm getting roasted over here, Olivia.
I've got the fight on going on right now.
Well, so basically there's this big strip of white sand, obviously, and so they set up a bunch of courts and little mini stadiums. There's not one giant stadium like you see with AVP.
Okay.
But there's little barriers between each court, and then there's the camera, and then there's this giant screen that has all the scores going on at each court. But yeah, there's there's five main courts where you play on, and there's three closest to the hotels, and then two closest to the water. And then in between that, there's little stands little stadiums for fans to sit on.
Okay.
And then there's a bunch of chairs around the courts. I think that's the best way I can describe it. There's not really much, honestly.
Okay.
But it looks really cool when there's a big crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome watching y'all play on TV and just knowing it was just down the road. And obviously, we're close to Florida State and have some connections there. So I know you guys pretty much took care of them every time you played them this year. They did beat Georgia State from up in Atlanta in that first round of 16 in the national championship, followed by Loyola Marymount, and then, like I mentioned earlier, took down TCU in the semifinals on the heels of Olivia and Gabby's victory in that dual match, which is pretty special.
So, Olivia, did you grow up around the coast? Or, I'm just curious, are there anyone that plays beach volleyball maybe from Ohio or Nebraska or so, or do you
indoor?
Or okay, I got you. Yeah, indoor.
But no, there definitely is. I think when I first started playing beach volleyball when I was in like 6th grade or so, or in middle school and then early high school, you would see the vast majority of the players being from Southern California.
Yeah.
And then you would see a few from from Texas or Arizona, but mostly from California. And I think as the sport has grown, you see a ton of players coming from multiple different states, like Ohio, Nebraska. I mean, states that you wouldn't expect to see beach volleyball, but it has really grown so much. Now there's even tournaments there and all kinds of beach clubs, whereas those didn't exist like 4 to 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Or maybe a little more than that, but it's definitely grown a ton.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, and like you said, the national championship for women's beach volleyball has only been around since 2016, and Southern California has won, looks like 5 out of those, and then there was none
Amazing.
for COVID in 2020. So it's either been UCLA or Southern California that have won the national championship in the beach volleyball history. You were mentioning you grew up in Manhattan Beach, California, which is pretty close to USC. Am I right in that? My geography over there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, like 25, 30 minutes, depending on traffic. Could be an hour.
And, my dad and your grandmother, how this all kind of came to be. And my dad went to University of California, Santa Barbara, and played beach volleyball way back in the day. So he's always been a huge beach volleyball fan. Now, you grew up, did you play indoor at all, or has it always been beach since you were growing up?
It's interesting. Most people will play indoor and transition to the beach, but I just started out on the beach, which I think is really unique, and I haven't met anyone else my age who has taken that same approach. I was really lucky to have had such amazing coaches and to live in Manhattan Beach, because obviously it's the mecca of beach volleyball, so there was so many great coaches down there who I was able to train with and basically learn everything I know. So, I didn't play indoor, which is definitely not the usual route, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you were trying to do some research. You remember the Elite Beach Volleyball Club that seems to have produced a lot of big-time collegiate athletes. Talk a little bit about that club. And for the girls that are listening, volleyball is huge in our area. There's a lot of club teams, but it's primarily indoor, even though we're right here on Panama City Beach, which hosted the NAIA National Championship earlier this year. But we do have some clubs that are coming up. I know we got the Bayou Beach Volleyball Club. How important was it kind of getting in that club at a younger age and developing your skills to prepare you for where you are now?
I think it was extremely important. The earlier that you can learn the basic fundamentals and the correct technique, the better off you're going to be. I was very lucky to learn that at such a young age from such amazing coaches. I think the 3 main coaches there were Holly McPeak, Barbara Fontana, and Eric Namawana. And they were just such incredible coaches who really mentored me and taught me all the fundamentals that I know today and that I still work on to this day. It's such an important part of the game, because if you can't pass, then you can't set. I mean, those are the basic skills of the game, and you can't do anything else. So I think that really focusing on technique and fundamentals will help you excel and really improve quickly.
Well, and I was reading too, you were part of some national team action when you were growing up. You were part of the USA High Performance national team, playing in some international matches. How did that help you get ready for your experience at USC?
That was a really great experience. It was interesting. They have these tryouts for the team, and then the team comprises of like 10 people, and then it started to grow more and more. And the training for those for that team was also really amazing too. Actually, one year it was Barbara Fontana who was my coach for elite beach volleyball. So we really learned a lot from her. And that, like, I think it's like a 2-week training block where you're training twice every day. So you can really take that time to improve a lot. I think it was really cool also being on a team. Beach volleyball, obviously, you're not really on a team except for when you go to college. So it was cool being a part of a team and, competing for USA and competing with USA on your back. It was really special. And playing there's a tournament at the end too, which is really great opportunity to play some high-level teams and improve your own game.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm going to put you on the spot. If there was one person that you think had the biggest influence in your very highly successful beach volleyball career, who would you say that was?
I think it would be Barbara Fontana. She has been my coach since I was in 6th grade. She started off with me when I was little and honestly just learning how to play, and I credit her to everything, to most of what I know, honestly. And she has been a tremendous help and is still a tremendous help in improving and fine-tuning the small parts of my game. And she is really just an amazing coach. I mean, all the coaches I have had have been amazing too, and Holly and Eric and Anna Collier too, who has helped me improve my game. And my coaches now, Dane Blanton and Gustavo Rocha at USC, they also play an incredible role in shaping the player I am today. So,
yeah, that's cool. Hey, yeah. Olivia. So, as far as USC Trojans go, do you what's your favorite sport to watch? Do you like football, or what's your other Trojan favorite sport?
Actually, I have recently started to like to watch football. I don't think I've really understood it a lot. But in the past couple of years, I think it became a lot more interesting this past year too. Obviously, USC became a lot better with our star player Caleb Williams and our new coach Lincoln Riley, who really upped the level of our team. So it was really fun to watch this past fall. And it became a lot more exciting when I started to understand what was going on. I love watching men's volleyball too. Obviously, it's similar to what I do, but I think men's volleyball is really fun to watch, especially when it's very high level. So I know my team and I, we would go and watch the men's volleyball team play at USC, which was always very fun for us because they're a really good team, and watching them play their rivals as well was always very exciting.
Well, and it seems like your coaching staff, you were talking about your coach, I think he's been there for 4 years, former Olympic gold medalist. So it seems like with where you're at and all the coaches you've had has really been a blessing for your development. Your senior year is coming up in the fall, one more year. Any plans to continue, or how does it look for volleyball beyond college? How does that kind of work?
Basically, when you graduate, you play in the AVPs and the FIVBs. Not everyone chooses to pursue that path. Personally, I don't know if I will, just because it's not a very lucrative opportunity.
Yes.
Sure. But many players do decide to take that path. I know Julia Scholes and Haley Harward and Tina Gardina, who are on my team last year, have seen a lot of success so far, and it's really fun getting to watch them play professionally now, and I wish them everything but the best in their career, so I'm excited to keep watching them play.
Well, awesome. I know you got go ahead, James.
I got a question for you, Olivia. This is James here. So is there a difference in sand? So say like when you're playing in Southern California versus when you were down here playing in Gulf Shores, do they play differently?
You mean the sand?
Yeah, just like I want to call it a field of play. Is there a difference? Like, is it more compact, say, on the West Coast than down here, or do they bring in sands to have the sands be the same at all events?
No, it's different everywhere. So in Southern California, like specifically like Manhattan, Hermosa Beach has some of the deepest sand. So playing there versus playing in Gulf Shores where the sand's very compact is completely different. You'll see a lot more aggressive swings, like people can hit it harder and jump higher in Gulf Shores versus in Manhattan or Hermosa Beach where the sand's much deeper. Obviously people are going to be much quicker too in Gulf Shores because the sand's more shallow. So it definitely plays a role in the type of play that you're going to see. Yeah, you can definitely feel a difference when you're jumping in Gulf Shores versus Manhattan Beach.
Great question, James.
Yeah,
Jay.
Yeah, Olivia, are you more of the setup kind of person, or are you more of the slam kind of person, or what? I know.
I love your terms, Jay.
Yeah,
They're beautiful. They're beautiful. I think they both they have to do a little bit of everything playing twos.
Or what's your strongest suit, you feel like, as a player?
I definitely love to go in the hit, but it's definitely important to mix it up and have a good selection of shots. I think that really fine-tuning those shots too is incredibly important because, I mean, if you can't trust yourself to do those, then you're not gonna do it in the game. I think most people though like to come out and hit, but there are the select few players that will mostly shoot the ball, which is a little more uncommon. But I personally like to come out and hit more and be aggressive, and then introduce my shot throughout the game. But yeah, I think most people would agree as well.
I'm going to ask you one more question, and then we'll let you go here in a second. So when you're playing these teams that you're familiar with, obviously, do y'all study film and look at the other pairs that you're playing to know their tendencies, what serves? And I know when you're lining up to receive a serve, you're matching up and moving for the block and all that stuff. But do you, especially playing UCLA as much as y'all seem to do y'all watch any film on the other teams to kind of get their tendencies so you know a little bit more information when you're going into these big-time matches?
Oh yeah, we watch tons of film. We watch it through this website or app called Huddle, and it breaks down all of the film. So you can click on the team that you want to watch, and then Huddle will break it down for you. So if you just wanted to watch their kills, you could click on their number, jersey, and then you hit offense, and then you hit attacks or attack kill, and then you can just watch every single one of their attacks or every single one of their kills, and you could do the same for all of their passes, all of their digs, serves, everything like that. You can really study their defense and their offense to really understand what they're doing, so when you play them, you know how to attack them best, and it is extremely helpful if you know how to do it correctly. You can easily pick up some tendencies on the other team, which can even just help with one or 2 points in the game. That'll help you get that win.
Yeah, because as you showed in the national championship, every point matters because it all is going to determine who wins that. Olivia, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. I'm glad you were able to come on, and maybe you guys will be in Gulf Shores again next year competing for that national championship. So maybe I'll hop in the car and bring Jay over for a road trip, and I'll bring my daughter who's a big volleyball player, and we'll come out and see you and watch you play a little bit. Again, we appreciate you joining us this morning, and have a great rest of your have a great summer and enjoy your time off.
Thank you. You too. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, thanks, Olivia. Thank you. That was Olivia Bakos. She's a member of the USC Trojan women's beach volleyball team, 3-time national champion, had a pivotal semifinal victory in her duel that propelled them over to the national championship match against UCLA. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We will be right back.
The 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app version 2.0. Now featuring ultra high fidelity. You'll feel like you're in the game. Plus more opportunities to win weekly prizes from local businesses when you click it to win it. Download the 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app today at Google Play or the Apple Store.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Tuesday's weather forecast. Possible thunderstorms and mostly sunshine the rest of the day with temps near 80 and a wind between 10 to 15 miles per hour. A chance of thunderstorms and mostly clouds tonight and a temperature of 75. The same tomorrow around 82 with some clouds in the morning and then a possibility of thunderstorms. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumberyard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
The new Smokin' Triple Stack at Firehouse Subs is stacked high with honey ham, smoked turkey, and slow-smoked beef brisket. To top it off, a portion of every purchase helps provide life-saving equipment to first responders. The Smokin' Triple Stack Sub. Get it for a limited time, only at Firehouse Subs. Participating U.S. locations, Firehouse of America, LLC, and Firehouse Subs suppliers together will donate 0.09% of purchases in 2023 at Firehouse Subs locations to the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation for the purchase of life-saving equipment with a minimum donation of $1 million.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
The only place to get sports betting coverage on the radio. Is this legal? Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. It's the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN at Northwest Florida. We are sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. You can listen on 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 along the Forgotten Coast, as well as 102.1 in Marianna, all the way up there to Dothan. You can stream live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and you can watch it after the fact on because if any volleyball players out there, make sure if you didn't have a chance to, obviously they're at school, but if you didn't have a chance to listen, you can go back and watch that and listen to some great stuff from Olivia, and even Jay might have learned some.
I did.
Yeah, well, I don't know what you called them, the hits. You know,
well, the setup and the slam.
The setup and the slam. Those are new official volleyball terms. Yeah. Spike's overrated, a kill's overrated, a bump, a set, a dig.
Let's just slam it, baby.
Just slam it. Slam a jamma every time. So, we'll want to give a quick shout out. The Mosley High School, they're putting on a summer passing academy. It's going to be for quarterbacks, wide receivers, as well as running backs. That's going to be June 6th, 13th, 20th, 29th, as well as July 11th, 18th, and 25th. It's going to run, each session is going to run from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. That's for rising 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. That's going to be right there at the Mosley practice field, which is a beautiful practice field if you've never had a chance to see it. Cost is just $20 per person. I think we do have a caller on the line. Alan, are you out there?
Yeah, I'm out here.
Are you about to educate Jay on volleyball terms?
Volleyball? The only thing I know about volleyball is that Super Spike was the greatest game ever on Nintendo.
Oh, that was a fantastic one.
Dude.
That is for sure.
Yeah, I know, I'm showing my age a little bit. At least I'm around people that understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right
definitely.
on.
I know David Hayes and the Afternoon Underdogs, they were breaking down the best sports video games, I think one of the shows last week, which that list, you start getting into it and all that nostalgia comes back and you're like, man, video games were so much better back in the day. I mean, they're awesome now, don't get me wrong, but yeah, when those first came out, like NBA Jam, Ken Griffey's Major League, I remember playing that one all the time, doing the home run derby. I think that's the first game you could do the home run derby in. But Alan, what do you got for us today?
Just calling to celebrate the firing of Doc Rivers.
He got fired? Oh man.
Yeah, he got fired. Yeah, you know what's funny? I was in a meeting, that's why I didn't text you guys, but yes, the witch is dead. Which is it's funny because like all the Philly fans are celebrating, and I'm like, you guys are gonna get D'Antoni, so I wouldn't get too excited.
Exactly.
Like, we're just here to witness the hostile takeover from the Houston Rockets of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Man, it kind of saw it coming. We've been talking about it. Just he just keeps bouncing around from place to place, and usually gets about 2 or 3 years, has a couple chances, but kind of saw that coming. I would think, right?
Man, I couldn't believe he really came out his mouth and said that the reason why he wasn't successful with the Clippers is because those guys didn't listen or buy into what he was doing. I was like, are you kidding me? Like when you're that delusional as a professional, it makes me wonder. Like, what is your new ceiling? I don't understand.
Yep. Well, and, we'll pivot over to your Atlanta Braves, because since we got you on the line, don't forget ESPN Northwest Florida is your home of the Atlanta Braves. You can listen to them live here on ESPN 104.3, 102.1 in Marianna, and 101.9 along Port St. Joe. They got another game tonight. That coverage will start at 6 p.m. with the first pitch being at 7:05 against the Texas Rangers. They seem to get back on track yesterday after 4 straight losses. Got the dub last night, 12-0. How do you feel about that one, Alan?
I'm beating my chest, letting out Ric Flair woos everywhere I go. Matter of fact, just because I'm going to play this back for my friend who's a Rangers fan, I just want to let him know, Jeff Rushing, we own the state of Texas. Don't ever disrespect the Atlanta Braves again. Toronto clearly are full of cheaters. That's why the Yankees cheated them last night, and everything's come full circle. The Braves are back, baby.
Right there. Yeah. They got it back on track. I mean, that's part of it, though, but looked really, really good last night.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, I get that you got to pitch some of these guys, but like you're not putting a AA, AAA pitcher against this lineup, man, and expecting anything of it. And the kid got through the first inning clean. Second inning, the wheels fell off. Yeah. And that's the sign of a great lineup. And I can't wait to celebrate Acuna going 40-40, man.
Yeah, he's bound to have that happen, that's for sure. And speaking of pitching, Spencer Strider is obviously off to a fantastic start to this season, potentially some Cy Young material. He struck out 79 of the 184 batters he's faced. That's a 42.9%, 42.9 K percentage, 2.51 ERA, and 1.64 FIP. So lineup's not just the batting lineup good. Spencer Strider's having a career year and potentially some future Cy Young material there if he keeps it up.
Yeah, he's playing out of his mind. And it's so good where it's like, I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to like him, because if I like him, I feel like I'm going to curse him. So I just let it be. My friends try to talk to me about him all the time, and I'm like, yeah, he's good. And they're like, why don't you like Spencer Strider? I'm like, I love him. I just know that if I get too excited, I'm very superstitious with my baseball. So
I think just if you're a sports fan or you're an athlete or a bettor in general, superstition is a big part of your life. Did you see what Ohtani did last night? Did you see that record he set? The first pitcher since 1964 to reach the base 5 times against the Baltimore Orioles, against your hometown Baltimore Orioles last night.
It was great because I obviously mistimed the game that I was going to go to, because I was thinking he was going to pitch on Thursday, but he's pitching on Tuesday. And so my friend, who's an Orioles fan, but he lives in Houston, he hasn't seen Ohtani play before, and I sent him a clip of him striking people out and then him hitting like a 470-foot bomb, and I was like, that's what I wanted to pay to see.
Yeah, I mean, last night would have been nuts for sure. And he didn't really pitch that well last night, did he?
No, he hasn't had his best stuff lately, and I probably need to go back and really take a look at him. Sometimes he has a tendency to overthrow, and then he'll overcompensate because he's not hitting his spots, and that's where he gets in trouble at. And it's just a super talented pitcher who just needs to kind of get more technical with how he pitches. And once he does that, I think, this is the transition year. I think after this year, he's going to be Cy Young contender through and through.
You think he stays with the Angels, or you think he's on the move after this year?
I have a better chance of hitting these home run parlays than the Angels have of keeping Ohtani. There's no way, man. He wants to win. He's a legacy guy. He wants to compete.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, he's as good as he is, but winning championships usually will trump those individual awards for a lot of folk.
So hey, Alan, you were at an Orioles game Thursday, is that right?
I was gonna go, but I'm not now because Ohtani pitched last night.
I got you. Hey man, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Greatest Orioles of all time, dude. Greatest Orioles of all time.
Well, for me, it's always going to be Cal Ripken.
Yeah, okay.
Because of obviously the era that I grew up in. But I think if you asked like Baltimore fans, Brooks Robinson is probably 1B to Cal Ripken is 1A, and honestly, I feel like he needs to be respected too. He's a fantastic player, man.
Yeah.
Well, Alan, you would be remiss, I think, if you didn't give. You got somebody special in your family has a big birthday today.
Oh yeah, my degenerate son. I don't know.
Your NFL capping expert.
Did you see the videos though? He's legit, man.
I know. I didn't have a chance to actually listen to him, but I did see the post. I saw it when I was coming into the studio.
I can't take anything from him. The best handicapper in NFL sports betting under the age of 7. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's cool. We'll have to get him on the show at some point, and if he's as much of an expert as his dad, which I'm sure he is, we'll have some people tuning in and listening and making some stuff happen.
I love it.
Well, we got you on the line, Alan. NBA gets kicked off tonight. I know we talked a little bit about it yesterday. I think it's Western Conference Finals get started tonight. The Denver Nuggets, the Los Angeles Lakers. Denver Nuggets to win the series are minus 155. I think they're a 5-point favorite for tonight's game. What do you expect out of this first matchup between the Nuggets and the Lakers over there in Denver?
If the Nuggets lose this game, man, I worry about the series because, like I said, their biggest asset right now is home court, and splitting game 1 or 2 would put them in a slight bind because I'm not sure if they're gonna win more than 2 games on the road in this series. I like tonight. I like Anthony Davis's prop over 22.5 points. As long as he stays healthy, he should have a favorable matchup. Like Jokic isn't a great defender. Their only real rim protector is Aaron Gordon. He can just shoot over him. So I think they're gonna use Anthony Davis a lot on the offensive end, and it should help him out. He should get his shots up.
Well, we talked about yesterday. In Denver, you're mile high. You're over 5,500 feet up there.
Yeah.
Do you think that factors in with some of these LeBron James, who's 38 years old, and you think that has an impact on how high level he can perform in these games, or you think he's going to manage that? Load management doesn't exist in the playoffs, but you think you'll see him getting a lot of rest and maybe taking some oxygen?
Oh, yeah, I think he's going to pace himself. The sports books think so, too. His over-under is at 25.5, and it's deeper odds on the under 25.5. I can see LeBron being the facilitator tonight. Honestly, I can see him being the facilitator pretty much the entire series if he can get what he wants out of Anthony Davis, because he's now at the point in his career where he plays in spurts. He's still great, but he's not going to get you 35, 40 unless you need it. And the closeout games, he performs. So I think he'll pace himself. I see Lonnie Walker at 8.5 points. Absolutely love that too. He'll get his shots up as well. He'll probably be a key role player because they're going to have to go deep in their bench in these first couple games because of the altitude.
So you're saying a two parlay: Anthony Davis over 22 and Lonnie Walker over 8.5.
I would give it a shot tonight.
I like it.
And I guarantee you by halftime, I'm going to be cursing the ghost of Anthony Davis who rolls out in the wheelchair, man.
That's the only thing.
If he gets a hangnail this evening, man, it could be toast, dude. He could be toast.
He's the only NBA player where you really, truly worry about whether he can finish a game. I do that in football, like when you bet a prop on a football player, because that's a logical thing.
Yeah,
but like this guy, man, it's like, what in the world?
Well, hopefully he can stay healthy tonight and make that happen. We'll pivot over. I know we talked a little bit about it yesterday, but over to the Eastern Conference, the number 2 seed Boston Celtics going against that riding high South Florida sports market right now, which is just loving the 2 major sports that are still going on down there. You've got the Miami Heat, the 8 seed, taking on the number 2 seed Boston Celtics. Now, was Miami a play-in game? Did they get in winning their play-in game?
I do believe they were. I think they played the Hawks.
Gotcha. And I wonder if I had my Google machine quickly to look up the two play-in teams making it to the conference finals. I wonder, I know the play-in's only been going on for a couple of years, but wouldn't that be something, 2 play-in teams going to the NBA championship?
Yeah, it almost makes you mad because you look at the Heat really were not a good team this year. I can understand their spot, but I can't for the life of me understand why the Lakers were a play-in team. Like they just didn't make any sense. But then they made the necessary trades, and and then here they are. But they've got the two of the top 8 players in the league on their team. Who does the Heat have? They got Jimmy Butler.
Yep. It just goes to show you. You just never know when it comes to the playoffs. NHL, I know you're not a big NHL guy. The Kraken lost last night, so now you've got the conference finals both set in both divisions. But be exciting. Miami Marlins. They got Florida Marlins, Miami Marlins, Florida Marlins.
Yeah, Florida.
Yeah. I didn't know if that ever changed.
Florida, Miami, it's all the same.
It's all the same, except up here in the Florida Panhandle. But the South Florida teams are doing well, that's for sure. I'll just throw it out there before we hit this next break. Give us a pick who's going to win the Stanley Cup out of the 4 remaining teams.
I'm still with the Panthers, baby.
I don't think you can get off the Panthers.
I know. I'm sorry, Jay. I told you they set me up, man. I didn't know.
It's all right. The Maple Leafs are out now, so we're good on that.
My buddy's in Toronto on business this week, and he sends me a picture of the Maple Leafs, arena right there in Toronto, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
Hey, it was a hot take. It was a hot take, and sometimes they don't pay out. That's for sure.
It doesn't. I back my Rudy statement up, man. I'm all about the underdog. I'll go with the underdog all day long.
There you go. Well, that would be the Florida Panthers in their series against the Carolina Hurricanes, which gets kicked off, I believe, Thursday night, Game 1 in Carolina on TNT. Alan, I think we're looking forward to joining you and Keith for the 2 Off the Tee podcast tonight, 8 p.m. our time. I was saying that out loud to remind Jay. But we'll dive a lot more into the PGA Championship tomorrow and the rest of the week, as that's literally major. It's right on our cup of tea. Let's before we take this break, who's your pick? Give me one name for the PGA Championship, which I know is hard.
I'm always staying with my boy Brooks, man.
You got to get the FSU.
I'm a Brooks fan through and through.
Yeah, I would definitely. He's hitting the fairway is going to be a premium up there at Oak Hill. That's for sure. It's if you're paying any attention to it, that rough is long. It's wet. You heard Justin Thomas talking about it. Snowed a little while ago. He's the defending champion, and
he's moved to the aim point putting this week, which is very interesting.
There you go. Maybe when we get back, you'll talk a little bit about that aim point putting. Alan, thanks for giving us a call. We'll look forward to talking to you tonight on the podcast, where we can have a ton of fun.
Yeah.
All right, no problem, man. You guys take care.
You too.
All right, thanks, Alan. Always appreciate Alan Sandage calling in. He is an expert in all things sports, as well as an expert in gambling and betting. And again, happy 6th birthday to his son. Yes. I know that's always an exciting time when your kids are having birthdays, no doubt. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. When we get back, we're going to talk maybe about some aim point putting and some different things. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida has the real local fishing report. Hi, this is Tim from Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle. Join me every Friday at 4:20 during the afternoon Underdogs. It's accurate, detailed content from local anglers, plus fishing updates on Saturday and Sunday morning right when you hit the water. Advice and stories from local anglers. Tune into the Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle Fishing Report, exclusively on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hello, this is Rick Boston with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer. We are located on 2241 East Baldwin Road, Panama City. Shopping for an 8-foot to 16-foot in width or 10-foot to 60-foot in length. Cabin, garage, portable building, whatever the needs are. Remember, at Stormore, we can insulate our buildings. We can put electric on, thermal windows, transom dormers. There's so much we can do. Stormore Portable Buildings, 2241 East Baldwin Road.
The road is yours this summer in a new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Stop by and check out the Bill Bird Kia SUV family that is built for all in adventures and endless possibilities. Whether you're traveling on the highways or off-road, you'll do it with grace and grit. Now offering 3.25% APR up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort and safety and technology. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us today today at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind that you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance for the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento with $22.22 per month per $1,000 finance at 48 months. Quantities limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers must take delivery from dealer stock through 7/5/23.
The locals love him.
You're gonna love this. You are my favorite. It's my favorite.
Everybody's favorite. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. When we made the decision, had the offer to come down from my former boss, Jody Graham at Kemper Sports, to come down to Bay Point Golf Club, we played Panama, and Ryan had sang a little thing. She was just little. I think she was 3.
Yeah.
And we announced it. And it said, like, we are moving to, and she'd say, Panama City Beach, and then that would play. And we were excited about coming down. So you're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida, sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. Make sure you go visit them at 2251 West 23rd Street. If you've heard Mr. Chris Kramer on the radio ad, are you tired of waiting 2 weeks for your boat to get fixed? If you are, make sure you go to Kramer Marine and Outdoor. They've Yamaha Master Certified Mechanics. They're also a Yamaha outboard full-line dealer, as well as a Suzuki motor dealer as well. They can get you back out on that water ASAP. We spent a little time on the water this past weekend. Rented a boat, of course, because we don't own a boat, and it's a lot cheaper just to rent a boat. But if you're going to buy one, go see Kramer Marine and Outdoor. So just a beautiful weekend out there on the water. It's been a fun show, Jade. We've had a chance to talk to Phil Shomo for a long time about the mental side of golf, which in any sport is so darn important. And I'm going to go back to this quote that he said: expectations connected to your realities. Understand what your reality is in the game you're playing, and then connect your expectations to that.
That's right.
Because getting upset for unrealistic expectations is just detrimental to your golf game specifically.
Yes. Yeah.
Want to get your thoughts real quick. Yesterday it was announced that Dylan Raiola, he's the number one recruit in the 2024 class, obviously the number one quarterback as well. He had decommitted from Ohio State, and he announced yesterday that guess where he's going?
UGA.
Just where everybody else goes. I mean, it's definitely switched. Kirby Smart took the playbook from Nick Saban in Alabama, and I feel like he's implemented it and beyond at Georgia. So just another, top quarterback in the country. Hopefully he won't be there. We were dogging Stetson Bennett yesterday, me and David, talking about, he went to UGA for 6 years and didn't get a degree. And Jalen Hurts went to Alabama in 3 years, got his undergrad, and then got his master's from Oklahoma. And old Stetson spent 6 years there at Georgia and didn't end up with a degree. Now he's in Southern California now with the Rams, so we'll see how he does. But I wonder if he'll go back and get his degree. But what are your thoughts on Kirby and those dogs getting the number one recruit? Seems like again.
Yeah, I mean I think it's a poker game with Kirby, and I think this adds another card to to the 5-card game. And so, yeah, I mean, looking at this kid, this kid has obviously got a gifted arm. He's mobile in the pocket. He's going to move around, and I think he's going to be like I said, another card in Kirby's back pocket. This to kind of let all the other coaches figure it out. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm excited, but yeah, I mean, it's all about options these days. With you go to local grocery store. I mean, you can get Cherry Coke, Diet Coke. You can get all kinds of, that's just another option in the quarterback.
I hope you guys record that and cut that as a segment. When you go to the grocery, you got lots of options. Cherry Coke, Diet Coke. You got to be careful. Wild Cherry Pepsi.
Yeah, you have
Pepsi.
Yeah, there you go.
We got to support Buffalo Rock here at ESPN Northwest Florida. So just kidding about the Coke.
Yeah, no. Pepsi.
He's talking about Pepsi, Wild Cherry Pepsi, and Pepsi Zero, and Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar.
Yeah.
So exciting announcement for that. Want to give a big good luck to the Arnold Marlins softball softball team tonight as well. They're going to be taking on, who are they taking on? 1 second. Wakulla over there in Wakulla in the regional semifinal with a chance to go to the regional finals in the state playoff tournament. There's one local baseball team left, and that's the Chipley Tigers. They're going to be playing tomorrow in the state semifinals. They're going down to Fort Myers, Florida, to compete in that. They're going to be taking on Newberry with a chance to bring home a 1A state championship if they can get 2 more games done. But good luck to those Lady Marlin varsity softball players this evening as they will be taking on Wakulla. Hopefully they can get the dub so we can continue these local schools in these state championships. College baseball is getting ready to finish up. I got to give a shout out to my Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. I haven't really, Jim Brandt, he's like, so when you get your radio show, are you going to have a Coastal Carolina update? And I was like, eventually. But hanging in there at number 8 in the country, they've got a big matchup tonight against North Carolina, but they're actually tied with Southern Miss in the Sun Belt Conference for first place overall. Southern Miss is where Coach Hale went to school.
What's a Chanticleer?
It's a rowdy chicken from Chaucer's Tales. That's a book that you probably had to read growing up, but since you came from Georgia, you might have not had a chance to read Chaucer's Tales. But yeah, it's basically, they used to be USC Conway, and they were the Gamecocks, and then I think it was 1991 they went independent and went Coastal Carolina University.
So it's a fighting chicken?
Basically.
Oh, okay.
It's an angry rooster.
Okay.
It's like a gamecock, but not.
Gotcha.
Pretty much the same thing. It's just from Chaucer's Tales.
Okay.
But rounding out the top 10 in college baseball right now, you've got Wake Forest, who beat Coastal a couple weeks ago, but they're number 1 in the country. And then the SEC dominant top 10, you've got Florida at number 2, Arkansas at number 3, LSU number 4, Pac-12 Stanford at number 5, another SEC Vanderbilt at number 6, West Virginia from the Big East rounding out number 7. As mentioned before, Coastal Carolina sitting there at number 8, and then South Carolina and Clemson 9 and 10. Pretty impressive. You've got 3 schools from South Carolina in the top 10 in baseball with Clemson, South Carolina, and Coastal Carolina. Conference tournaments will be starting on May 23rd. A couple teams have games today. I know Coastal takes on North Carolina, but then that last pivotal, I don't know why I can't say that word, pivotal series for each team will be this weekend coming up, and then that'll determine the final seeding going into these conference championships, which start on May 23rd. After the conference championships are done, you'll be jumping right into the NCAA regional tournaments. Speaking of the NCAA regional tournaments, I want to check in on our Seminoles from down the road and see if they're still hanging in there in that second spot. But before we get to that, Jay, you weren't here yesterday, so we didn't have a chance to get your tip of the week. I'm going to put you on the spot in case you didn't think of one. But what do you got for our listeners for this week's tip of the week that I might be able to chime in on as well?
Ooh, I think it's more of a practice session tip. You definitely want to lay a club down when you're on the putting green about 3 foot behind the hole, and just try not to hit that club and try to get it in between the hole and the club. Just making sure that the ball gets to the hole and leaving yourself a little tap in, for par or whatever it may be. If you continue that, just do. I like to do 4 foot putts, 10 foot putts, and 20 foot putts. If I try to define that from a basketball world, I think a 4 foot putt is a free throw, a 10 foot putt's a 3-pointer, and 20 foot putt's a half court shot.
So for all you basketball players out there, make sure you're practicing those half court shots.
Make sure, that's right. That's right.
Florida State is the only team today so far in the top 5 that's under par for their round. Mississippi State's 1 over for their round, 11 under for the tournament. Florida State is 2 under par for their round, 9 under for the tournament. 6 strokes ahead of Pepperdine, who's +1 on their round today, followed up by Baylor, who is -2, and then Grand Canyon University is +2 on the rounding out the top 5 in that one. So Florida State off to the start that they needed. Looking good so far with this round, -2 on their round, -9 for the tournament. Again, that coveted top 5 in each NCAA men's and women's golf regional advances you to the national championship. We'll be checking in on that national championship for the women, which begins on the 19th, which is Friday?
Yep.
We were talking about how much of a grind that is yesterday. You go to the NCAA national championship, there's 30 other teams, and you're competing for those top 15 spots after 3 rounds. So there's 54 holes of golf, those 3 rounds. Then you make the cut, and then you got to try to make it to the top 8 in that last round. So you play 72 holes of golf if you make it to the top 8, and then you switch to match play.
Wow.
And Amy was telling me it's 7 or 8 rounds in 7 days if you go on to be the national championship, and that doesn't include practice round, travel, all that stuff.
Unbelievable.
So we were focusing in on rest. And
this is in Arizona?
Yep, it's at Greyhawk Country Club. I think it's the last year it's at Greyhawk Country Club.
Hopefully that humidity, I mean, or, you know, that, I know there's not humidity, but hopefully that dry heat hadn't creeped in over there quite
100
yet.
degrees is the forecast for each day. And we were talking about that yesterday too, and the importance of hydrating weeks prior leading up to this event. You know, it's not just drink a couple bottles of water before. It's get the salt tablets in your system, get the hydration, take different supplements, and be ready so when you get out there, you don't have to worry about, I mean, because like she said, we're all dehydrated. We don't, nobody drinks enough water that you should.
Yeah.
And when you're going out there to compete in that kind of heat, at that kind of level, carrying your own bag or using a push cart.
That's the mental game that Phil's talking about too. That's when it becomes a mental game at that point.
Yeah, everybody's just as good as you are. It's just how much can you hold up? And it was great having him on the phone. Another cool thing I heard him say is everybody's like always thinking it's A game or nothing out there.
Yeah.
He said A game's 15% of the time, your C game's 15% of the time, and then if you can play in that B game the majority of the time, that's usually when it's very successful. But just got a text back from you were asking me earlier, the PGA secretary. His name is Nathan Charnes. He's going to be joining us on Thursday from up there in Rochester,
That's
New York,
so cool, man.
At Oak Hill Country Club.
I mean, speaking of that, I mean, the conditions up there this week, you know, I mean, Keith is enlightening us a little bit. I can't wait to hear on Wednesday.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be a lot of fun talking PGA Championship.
The ball's not going to roll, and it's going to be 38 degrees Thursday morning.
That rough is thick and spicy.
I mean, they were saying if it's 100, if they have 160 yards or more into the pin, they have to punch out.
Yep.
And so between weather, rough, you know, obviously the PGA Championship, man, I'm not seeing this thing maybe 1-2 under, maybe wins it. That's what I'm thinking.
You would think that, but you're going to have somebody out there that's just bombing it and hitting in the fairways. And that's going to give you a huge advantage if you can keep it in the fairways, because then you have an opportunity to score on that golf course. Yeah, I just pulled up the forecast. The low temperature Wednesday night going into Thursday is 35 degrees. High on Thursday, 65, which means, you know, that low temperature the night before is what it's going to be at 7 a.m. in that morning. And they got 2 waves, so you got people going off, probably 6:30, 7 o'clock first thing. And then the forecast on Saturday is calling for 68 and rain as well. So they moved the PGA Championship. It used to be in August.
Yeah.
And so when you had a lot of these courses up in the Northeast and in different places, it was warm, but you didn't have to worry about this kind of weather. So when they moved it up to May, although we're hot and warm down here, a lot of places still, especially in the Northeast, are coming out of their spring season and not.
Do you think that's a good move for the PGA to be in May? What's your thoughts on that?
I thought rearranging that whole schedule was a great move for the game of golf, because then you have the Players Championship, the Masters, the PGA Championship, the U.S. Open, followed by the Open Championship, and then you had all your playoffs done with the FedEx Cup playoffs before college football season gets kicked off underway. So I thought it was a great move. The players may not as much, playing in upstate New York this upcoming Thursday through Saturday, or Thursday through Sunday, excuse me.
You got to finish out the major championships with the British Open. I mean, would love watching golf in the morning, and live golf, that is.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
Oh, my gosh.
You wake up at 2 a.m. and watch golf until you got to go to work. And get you psyched up to go teach some golf.
That's it.
Jay, we had a great show today. It was really, thanks you for connecting to us, to Phil Shomo. Really, really awesome listening to all his insight. Again, you can check out more information on him and go to philshomo.com. Had a chance to chat with Olivia Bacco as part of the USC National Championship Trojans in women's beach volleyball. Don't forget, tomorrow we will have Keith Fleming on the line, as he is a regular contributor with us every Wednesday. He's a writer for Fantasy Six-Pack, director of Daily Fantasy Sports content for Fantasy and Frames, and host of 2 Off the Tee, which we're hoping to join tonight.
Yes.
And Colin Cowherd's coming up next. Don't forget about the afternoon underdog starting at 4 p.m. with David Hayes and that whole crew. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. You are listening to the Inside Drive on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Suffer from political talk radio fatigue?
We know that under the 49% rate, the U.S. economy is
Tune into the most fun and exciting new radio show on the Gulf Coast. It's the